Kitchen here on Real Radio 104.1. This show is dedicated to living, loving, and learning about all things delicious. I'm your host, Jim Colbert, and we do have some special guests coming in today. We'll give them an introduction here in 1 second, letting you know about some cool things going on with Primetime Kitchen. Just last night, we worked with Emeril Lagasse out of the Dr. Phillips Center for the Performing Arts. What an amazing night it was. Just honestly, dream-worthy, unbelievable. Couldn't have been more nice and courteous. Had a great crowd. He looked great on stage. John Rivers, of course, from Four Rivers Smokehouse, legendary in the city already. Just an amazing guest. We just had so much fun, man. Next time you hear us do one of those events, please take your time to grab a ticket and come on out. The Dr. Phillips Center is an amazing venue, and they really do treat their patrons right, and we have a good time. And, of course, it's a great time to get out to watch any of these name chefs do their thing, and we really appreciate the invitation, and we appreciate them allowing us to be part of the event. Make sure you catch us on social, guys. On Facebook, it's Primetime Kitchen. Pretty easy to find. We need all the likes we can get. On Twitter, it's Prime Kitchen JJ, and follow us there as well. We do have some special guests coming up in just a little while. In the next few shows, we're also going to have some other cool people. I don't know if you guys are following it. Ashley Nickel, who was on the show not even, 5 weeks ago, has now made it to the top 5 in Hell's Kitchen. So keep your eyes on Ashley. Not only was she a great guest, she is an awesome person. And we really had a great time interacting with her the entire time, and we can only wish her the best. Let's get to our guest today. And it's an amazing story because I watched him get out of his vehicle in the parking lot because he just drove all the way from Atlanta. A really cool surprise. Again, I meet a lot of you guys, and I don't even kind of mean to meet you. I just kind of wind up running in to these great people based around food. Luke Kramer's here today from Pork U.
Yes, sir.
Pork U. Now, if you don't know what Pork U is, it's basically a line or series of rubs that you use when you hit your barbecue. Give us an idea of how you got started, why it exists, how many products you have. Tell me all about Pork U, and then we'll tell everybody about how they can actually see you do your thing this weekend.
Perfect. So Pork U Seasonings and Rubs, it's a all-natural seasonings and rubs company that I created. I am a diehard Miami Hurricane fan from the city of Miami, now residing in Atlanta.
Hence the U in Pork U.
in Pork U. Did a lot of tailgates, cooking. It kind of took off. Transformed that into a farmer's market up in Atlanta.
Damn.
And I was doing my mac and cheese, pulled pork sandwiches. I do something called the Walk of Shame, which is pancakes, homemade buttermilk pancakes topped with pulled pork with a homemade Jack Daniel's maple syrup.
Oh, that's terrible.
So that's the Walk of Shame.
Casey's had many walks of shame, but we won't talk about it.
Who hasn't?
Casey has had many walks of shame. How many times, Casey, have you left some guy's apartment in the middle of the night with your pajamas on? I'm joking. But I'm telling you, man, this is just kind of a cool thing because it is so organic. I hate using that word because it's so played, but so when you go to the pork rub, and of course, if you guys know anything about barbecuing, smoking foods, people have passions. Our guest coming up in just a little while, these guys have a passion for doing it. Of course, you're with the Big Green Egg. That's what you're going to be doing tomorrow over at Pork Canaveral, and using that to kind of create great flavors. I will tell you, I think there are probably as many pork rubs as there are mac and cheese or coleslaw or potato salad recipes. Would you not agree?
Absolutely.
So what would separate yours, and how do you, you're not a trained cook.
No.
But how do you start throwing stuff together so you know it tastes good?
You know what? I look at the size of me, right?
Yeah,
I like to eat, and I like to have good tasting food. Right?
You strike me as a sampler.
So I started combining rubs that I liked. A couple things that are important to it is obviously that pork remaining juicy after a low and slow cook. But then, of course, the bark that everybody fights over.
Right, that's what you want.
So I wanted that not just to have decent bark, I wanted amazing bark full of flavor that people fight over. And that's where my rub, I like pig butts and I cannot lie. That's the name of that one. That's the purple label model. And really the secret to that one, besides my recipe, and I'll tell you, it's got turbinado sugar in it. So like sugar in the raw.
Right, yeah, sure.
So that helps it crystallize up.
Get that nice caramelization.
Dark black bark, beautiful flavor. It's got some chipotle in it.
Without being bitter. A lot of guys who, they create bark and are like, look at this, I've got this great bark. But it's so bitter because the flavors they put in there aren't mild enough. So when they really start to cook down,
Absolutely.
When they get concentrated, they don't understand the blend and it gets super bitter.
Absolutely. And possibly over smoking.
Absolutely, yeah.
Horrible.
So when you make these rubs and you get something going like the I love pork butts and I cannot lie, is that what it says? And I like garlic 101, and then you have just the beef and of course beef has a totally different fat flavor than pork does. How do you kind of start separating those two?
So that one I created. That's actually I have 9 flavors, including a brine.
Oh, cool.
That we do, which has really been great. But Beef U is definitely the longest one as far as researching and designing.
Really?
Beef U is actually, I didn't want to up the sodium content too much. All of my products are low sodium, but I want them to still be crazy flavor.
Right.
So Beef U has actually got some different ingredients in it that you won't see most of the time. So it's got caraway seeds in it,
right,
which are going to give you a little bit of a salty flavor. It's got coriander, of course paprika.
Coriander is super aromatic.
Yeah.
I mean, it hits you right in the nose.
Yeah.
It really does.
Kosher salt. Now, originally Beef U came out, it was a coarse grind, almost like a Montreal seasonings. But then we got a lot of requests that they wanted it fine.
Absolutely. I don't think it sticks as well. Matter of fact,
Exactly.
I will actually take Montreal when I started cooking with that, and I use that as an addition because I really encourage people to kind of build their own spicy mixes at a time. I mean, you can buy these because these are tested. Here's what you're doing. You're saving the time.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine how much meat, where you had to peel the top part off of it to get to the part where you just had to eat, that you ruined, trying to get your spice mix right. That's amazing. And you can kind of take your time. But, I mean, I at home all the time, I'm always like, well, I know the base is salt.
Yeah.
I know we got to have some paprika. I'm a sucker for smoked paprika.
Absolutely.
And I put that in my mortar and pestle and just kind of crush it up. I like it powdery.
Yeah.
I think it sticks to the meat better.
It does. You get more consistent coverage. You don't have lumps of seasoning
Right, sure.
and rub locked in. And I tell you, you mentioned about creating your own. I still want people. So my garlic 101 and then my fire drill, which is my spicy rub. Those are combined into one rub all day long.
Now,
I see it on Instagram all day long.
You use cayenne to get your heat or crushed chili?
I do. But so fire drill has crushed cayenne, red pepper flakes, chipotle, black pepper.
Right.
It's got some heat, but it's not the scary heat. It's just a really nice flavor.
You know what's weird? Everybody gives cayenne all the credit for being a great heat, but I find that red chili flake is the best heat in the world.
I agree.
Because it has the most flavor. I do like cayenne, but I think it leaves. I think it doesn't have the flavor I like for the heat I get. I want that to kind of have a blend there, and I find that, man, I go to red chili flakes more than ever now when I'm cooking. Even when I'm just making like braised kale, I'll finish off with a shot of vinegar like you're supposed to, and a couple shakes of red chili. Dude, it's the best.
I'm gonna try that red pepper.
Dude, it's awesome. I'm telling you, man.
I like the vinegar, but I'm gonna try the red pepper.
Man, get you some onion, cut them real thin, and butter. Hit the kale, wilt it down. Some chicken stock. Let it get the tenderness you want.
Yeah.
Right before it, splash of vinegar, splash of red pepper, and then get out of there. I'm telling you, dude, it's awesome.
Beautiful.
You'll love it, and it goes great with barbecue.
Absolutely.
What green does it, right?
Exactly.
Some little butter and salt. Roast them off and just literally squeeze them out onto bread. As if it was toothpaste. Garlic. It's such a revered flavor profile. You really have to almost be careful and show it the due respect. How did you come up with this?
That one is, like I said, that one hands down is my most popular. Garlic 101. Without that, there's no pork U.
Really?
Yeah.
Just because of the effect it has on chicken?
Yeah.
Honestly.
Chicken, ahi tuna, wings, pork chop, steak.
Really?
I have somebody that literally, Coach, he puts it on watermelon.
Are you serious?
I am not kidding you one bit.
That guy doesn't know what he's doing.
He puts it on watermelon.
That guy has a problem.
He is addicted to pork U. Yeah, give it a try. But it's
oh man,
it's fresh ground parsley, rosemary, Italian herbs, marjoram, onion, garlic. No preservatives, no additives, no chemicals, MSG, gluten, soy. There is nothing in that bottle except for the seasonings that I ground and put in.
Good herbal ending too. It's got a good little sharp garlic front. Is there any dried lemon or anything in there?
Nope, there's not in that one. I have a lemon pepper separate.
That's weird because I do get a little bit of a weird tang there. Then I don't know where
a little bit of thyme, maybe.
Really?
So
Yeah,
thyme
could be.
is that citrusy lemon.
Finishes nice and herby, which is what you want, right?
Yeah.
You want that great finishing flavor because you get the garlic up front. The garlic is permeates your palate so well. You really don't have to use a lot to keep it in there. Like now, my mouth is just absolutely awash with garlic. My next guest's going to really appreciate you being here. So when you go to cook your proteins, I mentioned in the do you know who John Rivers is?
I do.
So Four Rivers Smokehouse here locally, legendary already after only been in business for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's meteoric and a little almost. We just talked to him. I said, look, your story's obnoxious. You understand that, right? And he starts laughing. He's such a good guy, but he talks about taking 23 years. Lou, 23 years to get that brisket to where he could roll it out to a restaurant. And even then, it really wasn't his idea.
Yeah.
When you talk about perfecting something like this? And I know you have a passion for cooking. How long do you give yourself to kind of, how long do you visualize a dish before you step to the egg and start cooking? And let's talk about cooking on the egg.
Yeah, please. That's why we're here. So I'm creating a dish tomorrow at the Egg Fest that we'll be serving up for everybody that comes by the booth, and it is probably. I went to the first attempt, the first on deck circle about a month and a half ago for it, and 2 nights ago before I drove down to town, I perfected it.
You got it to the point, and people don't understand that about cooks, do they?
No.
I'm not just going to throw it on the grill and give it to you because it's cooked. This is not the YMCA.
No, that's exactly right.
I'm not cooking for shelter.
Yes.
This is we're doing something because we enjoy it. And isn't it cool to finally come and taste it and go, that's it.
That's the one.
Don't touch it again.
I woke my wife up at 12:30 in the morning and said, and she's a health nut, skinny, not like me. Come here, you got to try this. And she gave the thumbs up. And
you want to make them wait to see what it is?
Yeah, we can make them wait. It's interesting. Definitely come check it out.
Right on. That's what you want.
Absolutely.
God, again, on this show, we always tell people, challenge yourself with your food and your palate because, it might be, open it up for me. Let's just try my first piece of sushi.
Yeah.
Because I'd eaten Southern food for so long in my life. Your fried pork chops, fried this, okra, the whole 9 yards. And that palate was great and savory, and it was good, but I just lacked some of those brighter, more brilliant flavors.
Sure.
I remember taking my first bite of sushi and losing my mind. I'm thinking, oh my God.
Yeah.
Then I started eating Indian food, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And you're just like, man, there's so much flavor out there, and it really doesn't take a lot to even get it now. And really, with the way that they can make these videos, I mean, you could make a lot of this stuff.
Absolutely. Sushi is a prime example. I avoided it for as long as I could, living by the ocean and whatnot. And when I finally said, okay, I got to just try the hype, now I'm hooked.
Oh, yeah, you can't not be.
Yeah.
So, talk about the Big Green Egg. We have about 3 minutes. Let's talk about where you are with Big Green Egg.
Yeah, let me tell you. So we got this weekend at Port Canaveral, Radisson on the Port. We have the Sunshine State Egg Fest, which is
presented by Wassie's, a great sponsor of our show, and we love these guys.
Yeah.
Meat Market in Melbourne, been there forever. Awesome people.
Yeah.
WASSI''S.
Yes, sir.
Find them online.
Yep, absolutely. Wassies.com.
Yep.
Better family than even better business.
Really?
They are unbelievable people. And this Egg Fest is the largest in Florida at this point, I believe. Saturday you will see 140 eggs being cooked on at once.
And by people who know what they're doing.
Absolutely. There are cooks that sign up. They'll be serving free food, of course. You buy a taster's ticket,
Sure.
and you're open to eat anything you want. We'll be serving food all day. There's cooking classes. I'll be teaching a cooking class with a competitor yet friend, Ryan Lay. So we're joining forces. We're teaching classes. So there's going to be classes, live music, great vendors, great deals on
I'll see you there, buddy. I'm coming out.
Absolutely. Can't wait to see it.
And honestly, I can't wait to come out because I think that I may grab one of these eggs. Tell me the big advantage of cooking with one of these outside of the obvious.
Biggest advantage, in my opinion, is it keeps the food juicy, more juicy than anything else.
Right.
It's very heavy ceramic if you've lifted one, which
I have. It's brutal.
Nothing escapes this egg.
No.
You can even overcook a piece of chicken and it will still be juicier than if you cooked it proper on a gas grill.
Yeah, because the heat is so oddly indirect. I mean, that thing gets hot, 700 degrees,
Absolutely.
I guess, and it just is radiating that heat from all angles.
Yeah.
You're not just getting that indirect heat, you're really
Absolutely.
getting it from everyone. And you're getting kind of a weird convection thing
It's a
because of the shape of the dome.
Absolutely. The hot air goes up in the dome, crosses paths, make sure the food's cooked evenly. You mentioned 700. The thermometer on the front of it says 750. But trust me, you can wrap it around as many times as you want. I sear steaks at 1,500 degrees.
You bet your ass.
Absolutely. 30 seconds each side. It is a perfect steak.
And then you learn the great techniques of how you can move the food around the cooking surface to sear in one area, move it up to the side, let it cook with that natural heat.
Yep.
And you can learn all of this tomorrow simply by just coming out.
Come out and ask questions. Get behind the table with me or anybody else there, and we'll show you exactly how they work.
I love how interactive you are and how excited you are about doing this.
It's the best.
This is what makes the idea of this radio show that I'm doing so great, to find people like you.
Yeah.
Luke Kramer, it's Pork You, great rubs. Go find him online at
PorkU.net.
And what about your other social?
Instagram and social. So Facebook, it's PorkU. And of course, Instagram is pork_you. And you can see all of our recipes, pictures of our food, new upcoming products, everything.
Unbelievable, dude. I tell you what, it's been a true pleasure meeting you.
Thank
I
you
can't
very
wait to
much.
see you tomorrow. So come on out to the Big Egg Fest tomorrow, Port Canaveral. We'll have a good time. Lou's going to be there cooking with his friend that he says he's a friend right up until somebody says his food's better. Then it's going to be a big fight.
Then it's on.
With a bunch of 700-degree bulbs laying around.
Exactly.
Lou, you're the best, though. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Staring at the blades and the fan as it spins around.
Kitchen here on Real Radio 104.1. Don't ever forget this show is dedicated to living, loving, and learning about all things delicious. I'm Jim Colbert. Check out our social on Facebook at Primetime Kitchen and catch us on Twitter at Prime Kitchen JJ. The guest just coming. Of course, Luke Kramer was in last segment. That was great. Going to see him at the Sunshine Egg Fest coming up this weekend, actually tomorrow, over at Port Canaveral, the Radisson there. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome. Tasting ticket is the way to go. Live music, tons of cool stuff. And actually, my man in here today is going over tomorrow. We're going to wind up hanging out. Ron Whitehouse is in with John London as well. Now, these guys are from Bimbo Bakeries. And thank you guys so much for coming in today. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And it's an interesting story, Bimbo is, because you're the largest bakery in the world. So that's the world, like all people, 7 billion or so. You're the largest bread maker, muffin maker in the entire world.
That's correct.
That's amazing. It really is. I mean, I went down to your place yesterday and we did a little tour, and really the way that the business is run is just amazing. Give us an idea of some of the brands that are under your umbrella right now.
Well, as you said, Jim, we're a global company. We're made up of 11 mega brands, which include Arnold Bread,
Yep.
Thomas English Muffins,
Sure.
Entenmann's Cakes, Sara Lee Bread,
Yeah.
Barcel Chips, all the Bimbo Marinella brands that are across the globe. So it's a huge company.
I love Casey, let's make a note. At one point in our lives, I would like Primetime Kitchen to be referred to as a mega brand. Because mega brand sounds really mega important, and I know these brands are gigantic. Though we actually had a really good conversation yesterday regarding like how many of these brands are just iconic to the American public. When you go forward with stuff like this, like in the bakery world, because it's so big, how do you maintain a personal relationship with dealers, people, and make sure the products are always kind of finding their way into the hands of people who've known them for a long time?
Well, our network's made up of independent contractors, independent operators. In the state of Florida alone, we have over 600 routes that operate in the street every day. And when you look at across the system, they're carrying over 10,000 products, 150 brands, and those are the individuals that call directly on the stores,
Right.
work with the store managers, have that personal relationship and the ownership of the business that carry us forward.
And not to mention, we were talking to Lou earlier in the show. You guys own Ballpark as well. Now,
Correct.
Ballpark, hot dog buns, hamburger buns, stuff like that. And I was telling you when we met yesterday, I was like, oddly enough, I have half a pack of Ballpark hamburger buns because everybody at my campground likes them with their burgers. So we're super familiar with the brands, and it's actually kind of cool to see how your brands match up with other brands around the world. And it is just amazing how you've maintained quality and getting that big. Obviously, that's one of the big strikes about being a gigantic company. Is people always say, well, you lose quality, you lose contact with the people because you've gotten so big, you don't have to concern yourself with the little man anymore. That's not really the way you guys roll.
No, absolutely not. Our company is really based off of 100-year-old brands. You look at Thomas, Arnold, Entenmann's. I mean, all these brands were born, from single-family businesses, and over the years have really grown into the $100 million plus mega brands that they are today.
And you started, and another great thing is that you and John both started as, now, real quick, before we get into that, your actual title is?
The Senior Director Sales for the Florida Submarket.
So, and it's a lot, right? I mean, our state is one of the biggest consumers of those products, is it not?
We are the largest submarket in the country.
So you control that. And then, John, you?
I'm a senior regional sales manager.
And you guys both started as independent contractors, or what they call, what's the term you guys have?
Well, back in those days, we were route sales representatives, so I started in the business in 1980.
In 1980,
On a route.
and you had a route. So basically, you'd come to the warehouse, you'd pick up your orders, you deliver your orders that you had sold yourself into the stores, you stock, you do everything. You're basically, I don't want to compare it to like a vending machine business, but it's kind of almost like that a little bit. I mean, when you pick up the bread and take it back, I saw some guys in the warehouse yesterday. Really neat business. And you guys started out at the very bottom. That's the bottom.
That's at the bottom. Couldn't get it. That's it. That's where it all starts.
You'd be surprised how many folks in our company started on the street level.
Yeah. You know what's amazing about that? The two other companies I know that do it exactly like that are FedEx and UPS. You have to work in the warehouse at FedEx and UPS for sure, because I worked for them for a while, and I worked next to a guy who had an MBA. And because he was just in this level at UPS, in a tie, loading a truck for Winter Haven. just like everybody else in bum shorts. He's out there in his tie because that's just the way the company ran.
And the way our company started in 1945 was 5 brothers that started the business, and they started from the ground bottom up. And that's the way this company's been built, and today it's still a family-owned business as big as it is.
Yeah, it's also weird because you were telling me how these companies purchase each other, how all these other companies come under the umbrellas, and how those certain products go into certain areas. I mean, you guys haven't mapped out like breakfast items, lunch items, dinner items. The logistics and the analytics going into selling and moving these products around the planet is genuinely amazing. Matter of fact, I think I likened it to an air traffic controller yesterday.
Right.
And it's amazing, right?
It is amazing. And, when people see the bread on the shelf, it's just a loaf of bread, or they see an Entenmann's cake on the shelf, it's just a piece of cake. But when you think of all that went into getting it there, it's just amazing. And when people come on board with our organization, they can't believe how complex the bread business is. It's not just flour and water.
It isn't. It starts that way. But then you guys also told me that when you see bread on the shelves, like when you walk into your grocery store and let's say you see a bread, a loaf of Arnold white pan, or what you call the premium breads, the real nice, how long has that been out of the oven when you see it on the shelf?
Our goal is to be on the shelf less than 48 hours from production.
So that's 2 days out of the oven. It's on the shelf, sliced, ready to go, skewed, all ready to roll. What's the shelf life from that point? Because this is where it gets kind of interesting.
Well, typically it's 7 days from the day that it's produced on the shelf. We pull it after 7 days. Then we have 5 days in the thrift if we have a thrift operation or some other means of trying to recover the product. But, we run one of the best efficiencies in the country as well on not having that waste. So we're not selling old product in the market. We're selling very fresh product in the market every day.
Yeah, but think about that. So you have a product that comes out 48 hours. It's perishable from the minute it goes in the bag.
That's
right. It's perishable instantly. You have 7 days to sell it. Then you have 5 days to sell it in the thrift market, the markdown market, and then it's done. But here's the beautiful part of that. In that whole process, you have to figure out who's buying what at what time and make sure that more of that product that is perishable from the minute it comes off the product is restocked and you don't ever lose. Again, logistically, to figure out how that works from market to market that's got to be pretty tough. That takes a lot of research, doesn't it?
No, it absolutely does. In our business, and it sounds funny to say this, but it's really a business of events. So you think about the Fort Myers area in season going in and out with the snowbirds that come down. You think about the Panhandle that's dealing with, at the same time, spring break and what's going on in Panama City and the Panhandle. Then you turn around and you're dealing with something else that's going on the East Coast with John's Market. So it's always a business of events that you're managing in and out of constantly, besides the promotional activity that you're dealing with in and out.
That's amazing. And I have to tell you, Lou's still sitting in studio with us. When we were talking yesterday, Lou, they said something very amazing to me. I never considered this. We talk about the restaurant business a lot. We talk about being in restaurants, eating a lot. And they said, as we're walking out, we started talking about a couple brands. We won't bring them up because that'd be tactless and we don't do things like that. But they did said, if you ever want to know the best restaurants, the cleanest restaurants to eat in, he said, talk to the bread man. Because the bread man's going in the back door making deliveries, going back out the back door. He sees all the guts, all the warts and stuff like that. And you guys must have had some pretty harrowing experiences. And also, you guys told me a couple brands that are diehard, always the cleanest, and like guys like Chick-fil-A.
Absolutely, those locations are just unbelievable with their cleanliness, and that's gives you a good feeling when you go out to the front to order a sandwich. Which you know what the back end looks like, right? So it's awesome.
Yeah, and it's not been kicked around by some mop bucket. he's not pulling your hot dog bun, a dirty ass cold mop water. That's always a strike, Ronnie. That's always a strike.
And when they use our bread trays to defrost bacon, that's not a good sign.
That's the best ever. You know what? If you guys don't take pictures of that and make a flip book for your company party, you don't know what you're doing. You need multimedia guys on the spot. And then you also, not just to fast food though, right? You guys provide bread products to other upscale restaurants as well, right? Some good products?
No, across the board. We hit every segment across the market, from breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, restaurant. Private label. We deal with that across.
In other words,
brands.
You guys bake brands for other companies. We won't mention those either because I'm sure you guys have some confidentiality issues. But so you'll make, let's say it was Jim's grocery store and I couldn't bake my own bread. I come to you and say, hey, look, I want to do a private label bread and call it Jim's. I'll do the logo. You guys bake it for me. Is that basically what you're talking about?
Absolutely. And we're the only commercial baker that actually serves the 50 states.
All 50 states. You're in.
Yes, we're the only one that does it.
Wow. And it is weird because another thing, too, you'll see products that have like different labels, kind of the same recipe, but throughout the country, they're called different brands because that loyal local, like, I'll give you an example. You grew up in Florida, right? Yeah. So you know about Sunbeam bread. Remember that? You're in your mid-30s. I saw the logo for Sunbeam bread over Bimbo yesterday. I was like, man, I haven't seen that logo in forever. But those brands are still alive because the people have been buying them for generations.
This whole business was built on regional brands across the U.S. So as everything's been consolidated over the years, it's really pulled all those regional brands together, and they still exist. There's still a strong following, to your point, on how we go to business, and especially I grew up on the Rainbow Colonial brand, and that's how I started in the business.
Never even heard of that.
I mean, that was a mega brand back then in those days that we still sell Colonial product today.
What's one of the biggest brands like around the U.S.? Like I remember there's one in Texas, if I remember right, that like and you just put the logo in the dead center of Texas as if to say, yeah, they've got this.
Mrs. Baird.
Mrs. Baird's like, nobody else is coming in, dude. Don't try. There's no other door. Mrs. Baird has the door. She's not letting you in.
Absolutely.
And there are brands like that that are like up in the Northeast.
Yes, there's several throughout Grandma Sycamore's out on the West Coast or Midwest is huge. It's just, you could go on and on around the country. So Sara Lee is slowly becoming that mega brand across the U.S. I mean, it's the largest mainstream product in the U.S. right now. So it's but it's been a slow burn over the last, call it 15 years.
And you guys, and again, talking to you yesterday, you know, the research that goes into even rolling out a new product, I mean, it really is amazing. Because you talk about these artesian breads that are coming out now, people are requiring lower gluten levels, lower sugar levels, lower carbs. And the one thing I know about your company for sure, you guys are on the absolute cutting edge of bringing. Matter of fact, you're the first company to bring the idea of a thin bread to the market, correct?
Sandwich thins, we were the innovators of that product, and we control the market share still today because of leading that. And then Artisano, as you talked about, that's a new product for us that we've had on the market now for the last 6 weeks, is just hitting the ground running.
Yeah, now I'm going to give you a little warning, buddy, and I don't mean to startle you, but I'm going to tell you something you're probably going to be a little upset about, right? Okay, so I took that bread home that you gave me, that Artisano bread, and I took it to my house. And my wife, who is so carb conscious, Ron, so carb conscious, so fat conscious, took one bite of your bread and immediately asked me what this was. And I told her that's a loaf of bread given to me by a friend named Ron, who happens to be in the bread business. She said, well, you tell Ron to stay away from you and keep his bread away from you and don't ever bring it in my house again. I am a sucker at its whim. I am incapable of walking by without biting it. There are actually bite marks out of the plastic as if they had eaten it, as if it were an apple that did not need to be unwrapped, Ron. They are not fans because the product is virtually... I mean, it is good. It's quality. My guys love it. And you gave me some more yesterday, so when she sees you yesterday, she's probably going to swing at you. It's not going to hurt long. Just take it and be good with it.
I'm used to it.
All right,
the interesting thing about Artisano was actually created in Colombia.
I'll be damned, really. I would have never known that. Yeah. That's amazing. All right, I'll tell you what, let's take a little break. We'll come back. Let's talk about your passion for cooking food next.
Awesome.
And we kept Lou in because I know that you and I had a conversation yesterday about cooking on the Big Green Egg. He happens to do it for a living, and I thought we could share some ideas and talk about the Egg Fest coming up tomorrow and more about Bimbo Bakeries and what they do in this community that is so vitally important. You're listening to Primetime Kitchen right here on Real Radio 104.1. The show dedicated to living, loving, and learning about all things delicious. I'm Jim Colbert, and we do have some special guests today from Bimbo Bakeries, Ron Whitehouse. Good to see you, Ron.
Thank you.
And John London is here as well. John, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Also sticking around in the studio, Luke Kramer. He is from Pork U, and he'll be out tomorrow at the Big Egg Fest at Port Canaveral. We'll talk more about that in a minute. I want to continue on talking to the guys from Bimbo for a second before we get into cooking on the egg and what a problem my man Ron has with cooking, because it is a problem. I don't know if you guys know. We're all addicts here. I'm Jim. Good to see you guys. Cooking addict. Let's talk about the community involvement, how important that that is to you guys over at Beanbo Bakery. I know that you began a relationship with Crimeline quite a while ago. You and I have a mutual friend, Detective Barb.
Absolutely, and it's something we do across the state. We actually did 232 community involvement activities throughout the state last year throughout my 7 regional teams, and it's something we're very passionate about.
Sure, yeah.
But one of the things that we are, that in each region picks their thing that they go out in the community and really try to give back and do things that really make a difference in the community. And one of the things that I'm passionate about is Crimeline and working with Detective Barb and everything that she does. And I guess the reason why I'm so passionate around that is the things that you brought up at the Zoo Done It was we all live and work, and our families live and work in these communities.
Absolutely.
And we got to do everything we can to make them safe. And that hits the spot right home.
You know what, Ron? Here's what it's not. It's not $1 out of your pocket. It's not really an hour of your time. It's just being aware and having the guts to pick up that phone call, know that it's a completely anonymous call, and I think singularly it's one of the events, one of the organizations that can have a direct impact on the crime in your area. And it doesn't matter what the crime is. Everybody assumes it has to be a murder for it to be really. Can I tell you, if somebody's selling drugs in my neighborhood, if somebody's doing something stupid like driving fast in my neighborhood or bullying somebody in my neighborhood or brandishing a weapon or just being a general jackass, you never ever know. You just kind of drop that dime and say, hey, look, man, I don't know if this is going to lead to anything, but there's an issue here, and remain completely anonymous. And I have to tell you, man, I have fallen in love with Crimeline. And of course, my relationship with Barb doesn't hurt. She's like my big sister that I just absolutely want to punch in the face like every 14 minutes because she's such a pain. But I love her more than as much as I love half the people in my family. And I'm glad that you guys were aboard, really, to be honest with you. It was a big shining moment to get you guys on board with your brand products. And of course, how big your company is, and then associating with Crimeline, I think it makes a big statement to people about Crimeline itself.
Sure, and to your point, it doesn't have to be a major crime for Crimeline to be involved. I mean, they go all the way down to the school level.
Sure.
And go out and talk to kids at schools.
Yeah, the Speak Out program.
Speak Out program and the things that they do there. So it's something that I think it's the right thing to do, and that's who we are. And we're about helping with the communities as far as homeless people. Whatever we can do to help, that's what we're trying to do across the board.
And I will tell you this, and I know Lou will find this amazing because, again, being in the food business, he sells spices and rubs online. He's in the food business. Something also interesting, you have a company that's in the $1 billion range, multi-billion-dollar range, and yet John lives in a small town here in Central Florida and was nice enough to make sure that small town, through contributions and just hard work and through getting some of the employees, they went to this small town and they make this parade like a spectacle. They use their resources to really make these small towns, to make that connection with the customer at a local level. And gigantic companies like this just simply, in my opinion, don't put enough effort into doing those kind of things. They really don't. And you guys do. And I think that makes you genuinely different. And one of the reasons you're in here with me today, to be quite honest with you, is simply because your involvement with Crimeline and how we've become friends through the chili cook-offs and stuff. And I had no idea until yesterday that you're a big cooking enthusiast. So it couldn't work any better.
And other things that we've done in the community, there's Kicks for Guns. We've supported that, and nobody knows that. And we're not trying to get recognition for it because we're just trying to do the right things for the community and do what we can to help. So.
And that's what makes it magical and genuine. Again, the word is genuine. You do get that feel. By the way, the pictures of buddy, let me tell you, it can't be more Mayberry. Matter of fact, this is the place Mayberry makes fun of. And there's this parade, like blown up parade rolling down. I was kind of proud because you can see the little bitty businesses that have struggled like their entire lives to stay alive. And there's this awesome parade, 5,000 people, which probably tripled the town's total population. But what a good event, man! A lot of fun. I can't thank you guys enough for being part of the show, and hopefully continuing to support Crimeline, and we can work together in the future. Now let's talk about cooking.
There you go.
Okay. So yesterday, Lou, while we're talking, Lou Kramer in with us as well. He's from Pork U. Not only is he a great cook, he has some of the rubs like the Garlic 101, the Beef U. Hit me with the pork one again.
I like pig butts, and I cannot lie.
I like pig butts, and I cannot lie. Now, is it hard to explain the obsession of cooking food over an open fire to anybody if you're a man who's got that drive to do so?
No, one bit.
It's hard to explain, isn't it? Why would you stand in front of a grill in Florida and or Atlanta with the damn thing 700 degrees? Yeah. You're trying, or it's 12-hour cooking process. How do you explain to somebody how do you do that? And what makes it so crazy with us guys?
For me, it's the up at 5 in the morning. preparing the butts or shoulders or whatever we're doing the night before, the ribs, and getting them ready to go. But it's when I watch the people eat the food and their look on their face and the satisfaction. That's where, because I might eat a plate, right? But the rest of it, but I want everybody to take the product home and try it, and it's the pride of trying to get it done and get it done right, and keep trying things over and over till you find that magic recipe.
And we talk about
exactly.
now, how long did it take you to come up with these? I mean, like how many incarnations? How many incarnations of I like pig butts and I do not lie are there before I get the product in the jar?
That one probably 6 or 7 bottles and 6 or 7 different versions, probably 10 dozen bottles sent out to testers, buddies I know in the industry.
Not to mention all the meat that you had to put this on to see if
absolutely.
Not only can you put it on your finger and does it taste good, does it taste good after cooking for 12 and a half or 15 hours?
Well, that's the thing. If it doesn't taste good out of the bottle, it's not going to sell, because in a store they can't taste it on cooked food.
Sure.
So it's got to be delicious right out of that bottle.
And that's exactly. I tried the garlic 101, which is his #1 seller. Like you said, almost 9 to 1 to the rest.
Yeah, hands down.
And you can obviously see just by dipping your finger in there what that can do to a chicken breast or hell, a rack of ribs for that matter. When you cook on the egg,
Absolutely.
yeah, the big green egg. Did you abandon all other cooking implements when you started cooking on it?
No, I've got 3 instruments on the back porch that my wife wish I would slim down, but it's to me there's all different versions of how you're going to go about what you're trying to get done. If I have a straight Weber for straight up searing and stuff that I've got to do there, but I can also do that on the egg. But it just all depends on how much time I have to do what I'm trying to get done. But really, I use the egg strictly for, unless I'm going to do steak at 700 degrees and do some things there. I do some ribs on the egg. I do shoulders on the egg, that type of thing. So it's an all day process if you do it right.
I have 3 instruments as well. They're all green. They all look like eggs. But I do have 3 of them.
No, it doesn't seem like you'd need 3. That's all.
Well, so there's techniques, and I'm sure reverse searing. So I'll put a cold steak on at 200 degrees, bring it up to 100 degrees internally,
and then
transfer it to a 1500 degree big green egg and reverse sear it and make it the greatest steak you've ever had.
Right.
So instead of having to let those eggs heat up or cool down, you have to have multiples. And while I have that, I have pineapple upside down cake going on the other one.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because you just set them at different temperatures then, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of go move from thing to thing.
Yeah, I'll do meats on one, maybe a shoulder on another, or a brisket, and I'll have grilled veggies going on the third, all different temperatures.
Ray Lampy, who wasn't on the show with us, but I met him at a cooking event. His name's Dr. Barbecue. A lot of people know who he is. He does the same exact thing. He's got a couple, but he keeps one super hot. But I tell you what, he's got a neat technique. Lou, he actually he keeps it. I don't know how he does it. He had one side of it like way hot, and the other side wasn't really that bad. I don't know how he did that but he did cook with the lid closed. He cooked with it open, which was kind of amazing as well. Because I thought one of the big things with the egg is you want that damn thing closed.
Yeah.
You want it as hot as it could possibly get.
Well, the longer it stayed open, obviously more oxygen's hitting that fire.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's just getting hotter and
And what
hotter.
he could probably be doing is maybe pushing his coals to one side of the fire bowl.
And then go from there, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because to give you an idea of how these things happen, so John is here, and by the way, Ron and John from Beanbo Bakery, Lou from Pork U, John actually became a cook because he went to a barbecue at Ron's house. He's like, damn, this is really good. How did you do this? And next thing you know, we're like, Ron sure hit him with this. Oh, it's easy. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And then 3 years later, 10 grills later, $1,000 for the meat later.
And every Monday morning he's on in my office going, okay, here's what I did. Here's what happened. How do I fix
I'm
it?
texting him on Sunday. How many hours per pound is this? How do I do this? And Ron, his food was so good. There was more than one of us that came back after the get together, and we all started buying smokers and eggs and figuring out how we could replicate what he cooked for us.
It is amazing how that does have an effect on you, and I'll go back to what Ron said a second ago, and I'm sure Luke can mimic this as well, but there is rarely something in your life where you do feel that instant gratification when you hand somebody a pork sandwich, one of your ribs, a couple slices of your brisket, maybe even some grilled wings, hell, some turkey that you cooked and smoked down perfectly, and they eat that, and you see that look on their face. And I can't. How do you explain? There's nothing like it. Nothing like making. It's so primal, isn't it?
Yep.
I mean, I don't. Why? For the life of me, and then barbecue is such an art, And of course, from the hardest, which is the brisket, it's really difficult to get right, to the easiest, which is the pork products, because there's so much fat. It's almost impossible to mess up as long as you cook it long enough.
Absolutely.
What's your favorite thing to cook, Lou? When you go to make it like your prideful thing, when you really want to showcase, what do you do?
So my number one recipe It's actually pulled pork, but it's a guava glazed pulled pork taco with a sour orange jicama slaw with a chipotle mayo.
That right
sounds, there. That's the showstopper.
And where did you bring some?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, really? Yeah, don't. There's no possibly. I'm going to hold you to that date like hard. I'm going to give you a heads up because that sounds amazing.
That's great.
And you guys, what's your favorite thing to do, Ron? When you
Straight up shoulder.
You just like shoulder?
Shoulder, baby back ribs, that type of thing that I can really spend some time on and really dial it in.
And John, when it comes to cooking like that with you, I mean, I know you're just starting, but what do you find you have the most success with?
I would say the shoulders as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I actually had a get together not that long ago, and I did 4 of them. And I mean, to your point earlier, the look on people's face when they bite into it is very satisfying.
It sure is.
To see that they're enjoying it, and eating is a social activity, and it just kind of creates a place to gather when you have the food out. So it's a good feeling.
Well, you know what? I tell you what, I'm happy to see a trend. I mean, and let's talk about the event tomorrow for sure, Lou. When it comes to it, now it's the Wassies
Sunshine State Egg Fest.
Right on. And basically, it's 140 big green eggs, all fired up by professional chefs like our man Lou here, using their products, their rubs, I'm sure, some of their own brines and their own glazes. And you're going to taste everything from shrimp to pork to beef to ribs, chicken, turkey, sausages. I mean, there is going to be myriads of pizza, upside down pineapple cake, breakfast items. I mean, it's really unique, and I see this great trend of the culinary world really breaking out and kind of hitting the mainstream, and people are starting to take chances again with their palate, which I love. And I'm sure you see a lot, especially with the barbecue guys, because it's such a kind of, again, primal method of cooking. To find something kind of unique and almost boutique is really unique as well. I mean, you guys, when you were making your taco recipe, I mean, again, how many times you have to kind of go through that to get the one right, you know?
Yeah, sharing it with friends, getting feedback. Barbecue world is, we were talking about the other day, barbecue world has turned very much into the craft beer scene.
It has.
It's very craft. Your rubs, your seasonings, your sauces, your recipes. It's very craft-like.
And I find a little bit, I think they're a little more protective in the craft beer world because that's such a profitable, they're the recipes, but the barbecue guys, that's how I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll tell you straight up, that's how I did it. I just put it on, I cooked it for 12 hours. But the secret is, after 6 hours, I wrapped it in foil and I brushed it with apple juice sauce with a tiny bit of sesame oil, or they do something like that. And they have no problem telling you. Can I tell you? Don't ask me. I ain't telling you nothing. If I have a recipe that people like, you're never getting it out of me. You couldn't beat it out of me with 5 hot green eggs. I don't care. You're not getting it.
I haven't got a whole lot out of Ron.
Dude, I got a chili recipe that's went a little bit, and dudes have been coming at me for my chili recipe. I'm like, nope, you'll never get it. I'm leaving it like KFC. They're never getting it. You'll never know the secret. Guys, this has been a great time. Let's talk about the event tomorrow so we can make sure that everybody gets there on time. I'll be out there. Ron's going out.
Yep,
John, you going out?
I'm going to make it.
Damn, we're all going to walk around and hammer beers. Do you drink beer?
Yeah.
Oh, you drink beer?
No.
I'll be drinking beer. I bet you will.
Yeah.
He said no as if anybody believed. Why would you even say no? Why waste that breath? Okay, starts when?
We light the eggs at 8, and I believe gates open at 9.
Gates at 9, and it's it's at Port Canaveral.
Yep, the Radisson on the Port.
The Radisson on the Port, you can't miss it. The the Wassies, great sponsor of the show. We appreciate it very much. WASSI_S.com online. Not only do they have big green eggs there, they also have one of the best, if not the best selection of accessories to go with your big green egg, and they're a great sponsor of the show, which we love. We're going to be out there checking that out. You get a tasting ticket, get in, enjoy the music, enjoy the day. Go see Lou over at Pork U Tent. Everybody will be able to find you.
Oh, you will not miss me. There will be loud and obnoxious people serving some great food.
Right on, dude. I can't wait there. Ron and John from Bimbo Bakeries. Guys, thank you so much for your support of the community and of the show. And thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
And thanks for getting me a number of fist fights with that loaf of bread you have that my wife wants to beat you up with. By the way, she's cute, so when she swings, just take it, okay? And anything else socially you guys want to go over as well, like with Bimbo? You got anything coming up?
No, it's our big launch that we launched some new products this week, so be looking on the market for those. And we're looking for another big year.
Right on, man. We'll have a good time tomorrow at the event. I can't wait to see you. Thank you guys all for coming in, and thank you guys for listening to Primetime Kitchen. Don't forget on Facebook, it's Primetime Kitchen. On Twitter, it's Prime Kitchen JJ. We'll catch you guys next week right here on Primetime Kitchen.